Alex here, but is Stormy here?
Hello.
Hello. And welcome back to Real Horror Show. I'm your host, Samantha, and I'm joined, as always, by the Stormy Skies.
Yes, it is I.
So, as I was telling Stormy before I hit record, because I was amping up this story, because it's actually a perfect segue into the movie we're talking about, let me send you a link real quick. This is, it's a real horror story.
Real horror show. It's a real horror show. It's the real horror show.
So, you've been married before.
Yes.
You went through the whole wedding process and wedding planning.
All that. Oh, yeah.
The link I sent you is to a really pretty bed and breakfast about a mile from where I live. And
Beautiful.
yeah, it's so fucking pretty. And weddings there range from about $4,000 to $7,000. But I think that's a good value because they essentially shut down the entire bed and breakfast for your wedding, because they also give you like 6 or 7 rooms for your wedding party if you book with them. And they include a wedding planner, all these great things. However, apparently for the last 3 years, the people leasing the bed and breakfast have not paid their rent and owe the owners $200,000.
Oh, shit.
Now, their wedding planner hasn't been associated with the bed and breakfast for a few months now because her son, I think, has cancer, so she had to step back. But the entire inn has closed down. They've deleted all their social media profiles, including for like any related companies in the area that they own, because they owe $200,000 in rent. They've just disappeared off the face of the earth. And so there's this bride who currently lives in Alexandria. She went to Radford, and they already paid $6,000 for the venue, but they are not responding to any of her phone calls or any of her emails about getting her money back.
Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that like a real horror show?
Oh, that would be a nightmare. Oh, my God. I'd go there. I'd like go to the place and see if there was anybody there.
She said she tried, but the person there was like, oh, I don't know anything about that. They'll issue refunds in 15 business days, but that was last month.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, see, at that point, like, what can you do? Like,
I don't know. I mean, this isn't happening to me, thank God, because I would probably be in jail now for manslaughter.
Yes, manslaughter. Sam accidentally killed somebody in a rage.
Because, like, it's a beautiful venue, but there are a lot of pretty venues in this area for less than that. But hell, if you find your perfect venue and you get a lot for the money you pay for, that's great. But if they're just going to shut down and not give any of their brides refunds, I get you owe $200,000, but that's not the bride's fault.
It's fucked up. Yeah, you can't just fucking, like, take that money and just fucking put it towards your paying off your debt. Like, shit.
Yeah, so because of this, she's gone to the local news media, and they just ran a story about it. Because she wants to find other brides to team up with to try and get all of their money back. Because it's just bullshit.
You should call, like, the Better Business Bureau or something like that. Not that I know if, like, they can actually do anything these days, but that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. But, you know what would make this situation a lot worse?
If it was, I thought you were going to tell me the place is haunted or some shit.
Actually, it is across the street from the haunted insane asylum, but that's another thing.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If David and I were to get married there, we would have like the perfect view of St. Albans.
I was gonna say, yeah, I just like wake up, look across the street from that cute little window. It's like, yes, that's the mental institution for the criminally insane. Also haunted. That'd be totally on brand for you for your wedding.
Apparently, you can get married at the St. Albans Asylum, but I don't know. I feel like there would be some moral issues with that, kind of like getting married on a plantation. Could you really have a joyous occasion knowing all the horrendous shit that went on there?
Listen, bad places such as those are just vessels for paranormal activity. Okay, like inns, asylums, hotels, things, places where people are just moving. You know, they're not in a permanent space, and that's where all the paranormal shit comes out. It's like a catalyst for that kind of thing.
Yeah. But anyway, it would suck if that bed and breakfast was also haunted, just like the plot of this movie we're discussing today.
I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, in a week you message me and was like, hey, remember that bed and breakfast? Well, I just found out it's, like, haunted too. Like, honestly, it looks like it should be.
Okay, so I was actually talking to David because clearly the current leasers of this bed and breakfast need to leave. I mentioned to him, like, the one thing his parents are missing from their wedding business is a beautiful venue. So they should invest in the bed and breakfast, and I bet they would make a lot of money if we made up some bullshit story that it's haunted.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, that'd be a huge draw.
All right. But anyway, today we're talking about the spirit of Christmas. A young lawyer finds romance with a spirit that takes the form of a human 12 days before Christmas. Golly, this movie was spooky.
I mean, I was spooked. I forgot to add another realistic element here.
You know what was really spooky about this movie? Some random woman moving into your bed and breakfast when all you want to do is live your life for 12 days.
Whenever I think of movies like this where there's like we find out that he's like self-aware and he knows he's dead, but I always think about this in terms of like the ghost lives there already, and then after like decades, like another person comes in, so then like he's being haunted by like this real human that like won't go away, and she's gonna like steal his like property and shit, you know what I mean? Like ghosts need to haunt a place like with walls. So what the fuck?
No, there's actually a movie that was on Netflix with Abigail Breslin in it that was basically that kind of idea, where the twist, spoiler alert, it turns out that they think they're being haunted, but the real story is that they're the ghosts. So they're being like, they're feeling the people who've moved into the house, and the people who move into the house are feeling it's wild. It's a wild.
And the others? You don't mean the others, do
you?
Oh,
It's not the others, but it's a similar premise to that.
Yeah, it's like that, and shit like that is like really crazy. That's like one of the penultimate like twist endings is like the ghosts, the people being haunted are actually ghosts being haunted by humans because they don't know they're dead. It's crazy, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
but instead of, exorcising the ghost out of the bed and breakfast like a normal person would, yes. Kate decides to fuck the ghost.
I know, right?
I mean, not really, because this is a Hallmark movie, but it's heavily implied that once they get married, because I guess they can do that.
Like a ghost wedding. We discussed this in a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, I guess it would be like a ghost wedding.
A ghost wedding. But actually we're kind of putting the cart in front of the horse because you almost talked about one of my realistic aspects, which we can't talk about until last.
I'll be honest. I did watch this movie last year, but I didn't get a chance to finish it today because it's really busy at work. I decided to take the full week off at Christmas, and the next time I decide to do that and I'm still working in a church, shoot me in the face.
Yes, I apologize for your wanting to get away. I mean, like, hey, I hope that you have a good break, but when you're in a church and you're away for a week, is it like missing like 10 years of school or some shit?
Not usually. It's just that since I'll be off the week of Christmas, there are 3 bulletins I need to prepare. So I need to do this Sunday's bulletin, and then the Christmas Eve bulletin, and the bulletin for the 29th. And that was the one that was kind of fucking with my head, because to get that one done, I also have to start working on stuff for the beginning of the year, so I know who's doing what in January and set up the weekly rolls. And so it's just a lot of preparation. And I had to make sure I emailed our finance guy to be like, hey, when should I send you our timesheets, since both major holidays this month are happening in the middle of the week? Which is the only reason I'm taking Christmas off, is I feel like no matter what, I would be thrown off, since I would take off Christmas Eve and Christmas, and that's a Tuesday and a Wednesday. I I feel like I just deserve a full week.
Yes.
You know what? I think I'm also going to use that time to get over my fear of rejection and start applying to more jobs, and maybe even I might be delayed on this because I thought my George Washington transcript was on my MacBook desktop, but it's not, so I'll have to wait till I get that back to apply. I'm going to try and get some teaching jobs.
Yes, you should.
I'm just scared that the students won't like me.
They probably will love you. Honestly, like kids just like love young adults that are closer in age to them than other professors that are old.
Yeah, that's
that's
fair because my freshman core teacher was closer to us in age, and he was really cool, and we all loved him. Even the non-English majors loved him. So I don't know. I'll apply at my former university and also to the community college and just see if I can get somewhere. Do you happen to have a for Radford? I also need not just a cover letter, but like a teaching of philosophy.
Oh yeah, statement of purpose. Yeah. I have one of those too.
Yeah, could you send me that?
I can. Yes, I'm sure that our teaching philosophies are probably almost exactly the same.
Probably. I just have a feeling. I just don't know how to write one.
Yes, I'll share with you what I call a teaching packet, which is just basically the philosophy, the cover letter, the resume, transcripts, and a list of references all in like one
references
zip file. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to need some of that. At least 3.
References are the real horror show.
I know, right? But like, I guess like you can use some from GW and maybe from Radford if you're still in connection with any English people.
Yeah,
there.
I'm hoping Dr. Guruswamy, the head of the English department, hasn't retired, because then that basically takes care of references for me. She loves me.
Yeah, you should also use me as a reference as well, now that I'm actually I have a legitimate title, so they can't like be like, oh, they're just like podcast buddies. It's like, no.
We're not.
We're
not buddies.
We're not buddies. I don't even have your phone number.
But anyway, I guess let's get into the movie. Acting.
Yeah, let's do that.
This is a Hallmark, I think. It's Mara Vista. Is that? I feel like that's more of a Lifetime brand than a Hallmark brand. Either way.
What's the difference, I say?
I know. It's all interchangeable now. Because they're all doing these cookie cutter, hardly Christmas movies. Like, if this movie came out during Halloween and was a fucking Halloween movie, would you question it? If it came out during Thanksgiving, would you question it?
Question it as what, a Christmas movie?
It's just like a movie.
Yes, because it has no. Wait, stop! You're confusing me, and I'm too confused right now. Let's move on.
What I'm getting at with these movies.
What are you saying, woman?
What I'm getting at with these types of Christmas movies is they're just generic plots, and they just say, "Oh, Christmas is tomorrow" to make them a Christmas movie. But you could just insert any holiday into it, and it wouldn't make a goddamn difference.
I understand now. Okay, thank you. No, I would not question it, because if you just said it's Halloween tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, yes, it is a Halloween movie. Okay, great. just saying it's Halloween makes it a Halloween movie. That's the only thematic element you really need.
So let's keep that in mind as we evaluate acting and performance. I didn't like Daniel. I thought he was very stiff.
The ghost guy? That's his name, Daniel?
Yes.
Fuck. When I was watching this, I was like doing like three things, including watching it. I was like watching that, writing for Postcard Press, and then like something else too. Maybe I was like, I don't know what I was doing, but I think I was just like talking to like 3 people as well, just like having a conversation with people. But yeah, I agree. He was just so boring. He was like a robot. The fuck?
He talked like he was a pretentious high school student who just finished studying for the SATs, so they learned all these big words. Or worse, a middle school student who learned how to use a thesaurus, so he couldn't just use the simplified version of words. He was like, "Bring your companions over." I'm like, okay, they had the word friends in 1864, Daniel.
Yeah, I feel like they use like even more slang words, like bring your chums over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and I guess if he was
he wasn't.
a bootlegger, that means it would have been in like the 1920s. They would have had so much 1920s slang. They wouldn't be stiff. He would be drunk half the time.
He wasn't like really. He was dressed from like a period that was like way before 1920s too. It was like late 1890s or some shit.
Was he even like dressed for a time period? That's one of my production notes. Is because his costume just looked like your average hipster going to his first job interview.
That's actually an excellent point because, like, looking at his clothes, which he kept changing his outfit somehow. Although he died in his outfit, he shouldn't be able to change his clothes. But yeah, I couldn't like pinpoint like, oh, this is so 20s, like because blah blah. I was like, I can't place where this dude's like what era he's from until they mention the Volstead Act and like the prohibition and stuff like that. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and so last night I watched Virginia and Vita, or Vita and Virginia, which is about the love affair between, let me look up her full name, Virginia Woolf and Vita Sackville West. And basically their love affair occurred in the 1920s. Granted, this was England, but America wasn't much different in the 1920s. Virginia and Vita were a part of the Bloomsbury Group, which was a group of writers and artists and other bohemians who frequently partied, got drunk, and experimented with their sexuality. So Vita and Virginia had this love affair for 10 years, and Vita was actually the inspiration for Orlando, a biography. It's a really good movie. It's on Hulu. Check it out if you haven't. And so just comparing the shenanigans of real people living in the 1920s compared to Daniel, he would have just been not the kind of guy throwing a Christmas party.
Yeah, seriously. He's just such a stiff loser.
And Kate, I mean, what can you say about Kate? She's your typical Hallmark movie protagonist.
Well, here's what I say about her. I got like these like super mega vibes that like she was a girl who has a kidnap or home invasion fantasy, and that's the only vibe I got throughout the whole entire movie. Laughing because it's true, and you felt that way too.
I can totally see that. She's like, because she's so like dominant in her real life that she probably does have like a super submissive fantasy like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, it just seemed like she was having too much fun when there was a stranger in the place that she was sleeping at night. And she was like, oh, this is so much fun. I'm going to go hide in the bathroom. It's like, dude, what the fuck? I mean, like, I know she called the cops a bunch of times, but, like, I don't know. If I would just leave, honestly, if I was, like, that worried about it. But, like, she's like, I'm not worried about it. I'm glad there's a man here. Like, excellent. Now I like can't get away. Oh, it's just this whole thing, and like it just disgusted me, and I just like fucking couldn't stand her.
And I mean,
for the rest of the time.
If Daniel's really not that threatening of a ghost, who cares if he comes back to life for 12 days out of the year? I mean, they could make an agreement, and he could just be labeled as the owner or the manager, and he only comes by 12 days out of the year. There, problem solved. You don't need to stay in the house, and you don't need to solve the mystery of his murder.
Exactly. And actually, like, I really, like, started to not pay attention whenever they talked about, like, his past, because I, like, didn't care. And he died, and I was like, oh, I really don't care. And then they figured out who it was that killed him, and it didn't, like, matter at all. It wasn't like this big like aha moment where we're like, oh wow, it was this person. Like it was just it was a nobody who killed a nobody, pretty much.
Yeah. See, this came out in 2015. I would have never guessed that. I would have guessed it came out closer to the Twilight era because that's when you could get away with a dumb movie like this.
No, right? This movie was really dumb.
Doesn't it end with he was under a curse, and somehow by figuring out his murder, he can just be alive again?
It was like, I'm guessing that's how it went, but like not be alive, but he could like extend his visits other, like, exceeding 12 days.
Okay.
But I don't think that he's actually alive like a human for 12 days. I think he's just like a ghost that's like manifested in physical form.
You know, what does that say about
because
Kate?
he's not aging.
What does that say about Kate, that her ideal man is one that she only has to see 12 days out of the year? I just don't think she's into commitment, and that's fine. She doesn't need to force it. She doesn't need to fuck a ghost. That's gonna, like, I don't know, screw up her chances of getting in with the J-man.
Yeah, I mean, like, from what I understand, in the beginning, she's on the date with that guy, and like, she really doesn't want to be with him, and he breaks up with her, and she's happy that he breaks up with her so she could just like kind of like go on with, you know, her career and stuff like that. And she seems to have an excellent career, and suddenly she kind of like throws that away to like solve this mystery of this ghost's death, because it's like her only like sole purpose, because it's the one thing she's doing on her own without a boss telling her she has to do it. And so like once she figures it out, although she really doesn't, he does, she like finds her purpose, and now she like can't go back to her old life. But like the big problem is he's like a ghost. He's not alive, so she can't realistically fucking stay there with no job.
Sure, since he's only alive for like 12 days a year, she's gonna go back to her job. She's gonna have her cake and eat it too. She doesn't want a committed relationship. She wants to focus on her career, but she also wants to plow like once a year. So there, it works out for her.
No, she does go back to the job because her manager like gives her like a promotion. But she leaves the job to like stay at the inn to be with him because the other guy like bought the place so she can stay. I wasn't paying attention to what was happening, so I don't really know if that actually happened. But from what I understand, she's not going back to the job because he lifted the curse on himself so he can stay with her forever, so she'll never have to leave the inn.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Based on my general knowledge of these types of movies, that sounds spot on.
Why would she go back to Sam?
Right. She doesn't need her job. She doesn't need a career. She has a man. I forgot. That's what we all want for Christmas.
That's what I'm saying. That is her purpose, is to like be the woman, because she's obligated to do that, because the ghost man had a choice between his other love from back in the day or her, and he really just like totally went for her, although she's still a stranger, instead of the girl that he loved and lived with for many years and planned to marry. And she was also like pregnant with his child. Like, I don't know.
A phone call from a Canadian number. Who the hell do I know in Canada? I would have answered.
Should have answered.
I didn't.
What if it was a prayer?
I didn't want to interrupt you. We've already done the bit where I interrupt you by answering a phone call. If they leave a voice,
that was excellent.
Like, who the hell would be calling me at 7:45 at night from Canada?
I've never gotten a call from Canada. That's so weird.
I
wonder who it was.
Canada. I haven't applied to any jobs in Canada. I mean, I did like a couple years ago, but not recently.
Maybe. It's them now. It's them. They just got to your.
Yeah, I would love to work at Harlequin Romance. That was the publisher I applied with.
Nice. That'd be awesome.
That would be such a fun publishing job. I would have to ask.
Would be fun.
I would ask every author to please demonstrate how these sexual acts can be done. You know, not take their clothes off. Just show me how these ludicrous positions can be accomplished to check their realness.
Yes, their realness.
I don't know if you've read a Harlequin Romance novel. Some of the sex acts they do in those books seem pretty implausible.
I agree with that statement. That's why I only read horror novels.
Speaking of horror novels, now that you're done with school, you should read my play New Year's Eve at the Stop and Go. I have some typos to fix, but I'm too lazy to go through and fix
I would
them.
love to read it. I would love to read it. I'll fix stuff too if you want.
Thank you. I'm sure you'll find the same mistakes I found. It's just I edit manually. I print out the script and do it by hand. So the process of actually transferring those edits back to the computer will take me about 3 years.
That's the exact timeline that you're supposed to be on anyway. So good. Right on target.
I mean, that's life as a writer. You never actually write and then complain about editing, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, for me, the writing is the hard part, and I really like the editing part. But I can't edit if I don't write something first. You know what I mean? So it's just this whole problem. It's just like this, like, round and round that I just can't get around. I'm gonna tag you in something, but just look at it after we're done talking.
So I guess talking about writing, we've touched on the story, so it's pretty obvious how we feel about this story. Let's see. It's a isn't a murder mystery a little heavy for a Christmas movie? Like, he is straight up whacked in the head, like 4 minutes in, just someone cracks his skull open.
No, and it made me confused throughout the whole movie, and until I like let it slip away and forget about it. But he really was just standing there doing nothing, and just like got hit and died. And I was like, huh, he really did nothing to deserve that, and he just died. Oops. He didn't even die in the house. So how is he haunting in there? How did he get in there? He should be roaming the woods nearby. It's a lot of holes I see.
I saw a Twitter post that's relevant to this topic, and it's like, why is there always a ghost from like the 1800s or 1920s haunting the place? Why isn't it ever a ghost from like the 1970s who's strung out on cocaine? And that's a very relevant point. Maybe I would have liked this movie a lot better if Daniel wasn't 900 years old and he was a strung out.
Yeah, I know. That's an excellent point. We really don't have a lot of movies with like modern hauntings. And if it's a modern movie about a haunting, the haunting is by like an evil demon entity, not like a person who recently died. So I don't know. Maybe the modern people that died just like unstuck themselves. Yeah. I don't know.
With our easy, accessible public educations.
Yeah, we can realize that we're dead, first of all. So we're already self-aware because everybody wants to be dead anyway, because we're all just so nihilistic. And once we are dead, we're like, oh shit, I'm dead. I'm aware, and I need to ascend or descend so I don't haunt this place because I'm sick of being here. So like, that's it. But older generations can't let go. They're obsessed with nostalgia. So maybe that's why they stay forever and they get stuck. They get stuck for longer than they intended to.
Let's see, 45.
And there's my theory.
At the beginning of the movie, her boss says 45% of people believe in ghosts. That seems really high to me.
45% of like everybody ever? Yeah. Well, let me just do a little research. Google.
Doesn't that seem a bit high? I don't know. And when Daniel returns to the inn and uses the electronic keypad, he died in like 1923. How does he even know what that is? I guess his manager friend taught him, but still.
Yeah.
And then
this is true.
And then Kate, not believing he's a ghost, just like straight up molests him to prove he's not see-through or he's solid. Wait, at 45% of Americans actually believe in ghosts? What the fuck is wrong with you people? I mean, we're ghosts, but...
That was published this October. I don't know where their statistical information is from, but it's the same percentage that was used in that movie from 2015. So it's weird that it hasn't adjusted. Unless they just made up a statistic for the movie.
And got lucky.
Which is very creepy. I know. Anyway.
Right, who the fuck is
what were you saying?
First off, who the fuck is the 13% of the population that believe in vampires?
Me, just kidding, but not really. I don't know. There was a time when I really wanted to believe so badly that maybe a type of a vampire existed, but that just kind of came with the culture of that year, which was 2009. So, everybody believed in vampires in 2009.
Yeah. But as I was saying, Kate like straight up molests Daniel to prove that, like, you can't touch ghosts. But it's like, you don't just touch him. That's rude. That's assault.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that, because, like, why would you touch a stranger? That's weird.
Especially one with a knife and eating an apple with the knife, because he's from the 1920s.
I really thought that was I know, clearly he has to eat it with a knife, because that's what every man did in the 1920s, which is fucking not true. Just, like, I feel like that was some sort of, like, a thing that he should have frowned down upon because he's so fancy. But
speaking of apple, I got an apple slicer, and it's changed my life for the better.
It's excellent. What was I going to say? Well, you think that she would be, like, more freaked out whenever he, like, takes her to, like, where he disappears at, like, the little, like, barrier, invisible barrier, and he, like, goes through it and disappears, and she's like, oh, he must be a ghost. Like, wouldn't you just, like, fucking freak out and, like, run or scream or not be able to mentally process it and have a stroke or an aneurysm? You know what I mean? Like, shit like that, like, when your mind can't compute what's happening, you'll, like, your brain will, like, break.
She should have gone into a catatonic state, and this movie ends with her being locked up in the asylum across the street from the bed and breakfast.
No, you're right. The opposite of, like, having, like, an extreme reaction would be having, like, a suppressive reaction, which would be going into catatonia. So you're in shock and you don't speak and your body temperature drops really low and then you faint. So, but no, she was like, oh yeah, that's fine with me. And then she goes back in the house and she's like, wow, cool trick. What the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus Christ. I'd be like, you are both in on it, and I'm out of here. Like, this in is, like, not even that important.
Yeah. I'd be like, you know what? There's going to be other opportunities for a promotion. I'll just let y'all know.
Right.
Deal with it.
Yeah, you guys you do you. Why do Republicans believe in the supernatural more than Democrats? Why are they so nervous and paranoid?
It probably...
They're older and generally more religious, so that probably contributes to it, because I feel like yes,
liberals tend to skew agnostic atheist more than Christian, which is weird because of how liberal Jesus was in his teachings.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to bring that up to...
Yes, but no, I agree. It's definitely a matter of age and religious beliefs, for sure. Because you got to believe that there's an afterlife, or else what is it all for? And then that's when people's brains break too. It's for nothing. Ugh, I like to tell the J-Man I said that.
I like to think the tunnel of light we see when we die is really just the opening of your mother's vagina, so you can restart your life as a baby.
Do you do it all over again? Do you really believe, like, reincarnation and stuff like that?
Incarnation, but just, like, the universe and time is on this infinite loop.
Infinite loop?
Yeah. Like, you'll always be you,
that, like,
but you'll just start over when you die.
Will you have the same memories, or do your memories just kind of come about in forms of deja vu? Because you've lived it before.
They come about in forms of deja vu.
Just copying everything I'm saying, or do you really believe this?
That's what I believe.
You know what? I can believe that to a certain point, like, because, like, who am I to say that it's wrong? Nobody knows,
Yeah, and you can't really prove jack shit, because the only people who can prove what happened after you die is you die.
Like, we know that much for certain, is that you die.
Senior year, high school chemistry, we had a lecture on string theory, and it blew my fucking mind. And, it opened up all these like things to think about, because when you die, it's just your body dying, but what happens to your actual essence, your actual being? And that shit fucked me up. So that's why I think it's an infinite loop where deja vu happens because you're doing something you've already done before, and your essence just gets reborn into you again. Hopefully in my next life I make some better life choices, like, you know, I don't know. I was going to say go to NYU, but I saw what a apartment in Manhattan for what I was paying in Alexandria would be.
Yeah.
2 words: communal bathroom.
Oh, I didn't know those existed still.
Yeah. Which, granted, that was Manhattan. I'm sure in Greenwich Village I'd find something a little better.
Yeah, sure. But back to what we were talking about before about having multiple lives that you're living and you're the same person. What was I gonna say? Okay, so your deja vu is pretty much you remembering things that have happened before because you can't remember, you don't have like all the same memories. So is it the reason why we like meet certain people that we feel like we are supposed to meet, and people that we meet, some of them are very wise and some of them are not very wise? Is it because they've had multiple lives and some have not?
That seems fair. Like, I don't think I've ever had that sensation of deja vu. So what if this really is my first time going around?
Never had deja vu?
I don't think I have. And maybe that's like justification for the Mandela effect. Never mind, the Mandela effect is bullshit.
We can't bring that shit into this because it's not even the same fucking thing at all, dude. It doesn't exist. You're right. It was just made up to confuse each other. But yeah, I can't explain deja vu to you, but when you have it, you'll know. And there's only one way to describe that feeling, and you'll be like, it was deja vu that just happened. And you've had to have had it. If you dream, you know, then I think that you've had to have had it at least once or something. Or maybe you're a newborn. I don't know. But I would say you're very wise beyond your years. So I don't think so. If I put my, put like my foot in this like theory that we've got going on here.
Anyway, Daniel was married in his previous life. How fucked up is that? That he like chooses to not move on to the afterlife and stay with this bitch he's known for 12 days.
That's what I'm saying. And she was pregnant, so they did get married.
He was married to her, and she was pregnant, and probably like a Black Jack Randall in Outlander, he married his brother's sister. His brother married her so she didn't have to have the shame of having a bastard child. But then the baby died a few days later, so I guess he's just clear of all responsibilities because everybody in his life is dead. It's not like they're anxiously waiting for him to get to heaven.
That's what they meant when they said that her marriage was just a cover, because I like wasn't paying attention, but then I heard them say that and I was like, what? Oh, well, whatever. And I just like moved on. I understand now. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
That makes sense.
It's kind of like the end of Titanic where Rose and Jack reunite. It's like, oh, so when she gets up there, she's just going to start blinking Jack again. What about the man she was married to for, I don't know, 50 years?
Yeah, do they even discuss who she was married to? Because it wasn't Jack.
Yeah, it was some guy. I mean, I assume she loved him. She had children with him.
Yeah, she had children with him. I mean, I'm sure she loved him in some way, you know.
Boy, good discussion. Good discussion. What did we think of the production? We talked about this on Facebook for a few minutes. I know you just wrote.
Wait,
you just wrote okay.
I just wrote okay because it was blank before, and so I had to put something. And I just put okay because it was fine. It was a movie, and I was able to watch it, and nothing interfered with my viewing of the movie.
Look, you got another production note.
Oh boy, thanks, Sam. You know that she's not playing the piano because... Oh, did you notice that?
I didn't notice that because I'm not finely tuned to music, but I believe you.
It's just that like her hands were like right in front of like her chest, and she was playing a song that like was going all over the place, and I was like, okay, I guess you don't know how to play the piano then, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely a production error where the person directing should have been like, hey, you're playing an actual song, move your hands.
Move your hands all about.
The music choices in these movies are always weird. I remember one where they went to a bowling competition, and when the team you're supposed to be rooting for wins the bowling competition, they start playing Joy to the World. And I'm just like, maybe don't.
Maybe not? What the fuck?
I mean, just because it's in the public domain doesn't mean you should use it for an arbitrary moment like this.
Yeah. That's a good note. And I feel like the other note was the other thing I did talk to you. You're right. We talked about it was like music that is silly in spots where the action in reality is not silly at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how I described it for like both bad children's movies and these trashy Hallmark movies is they're trying to make the lower common denominator laugh, because for children's movies, it's children and the writing isn't good. And so funny music cue, do-do-do. But instead of children for these Hallmark movies, it's wine drunk moms binging on sugar cookies. So they don't realize that the moment isn't actually funny. They just hear the funny music and they're like, ah.
It's like a mental cue that tells your brain what's happening is funny. And so you're like, and you just go with it.
Whereas a good children's movie like The Emperor's New Groove relies on excellent writing to tell their jokes.
Right.
Yeah, I fucking love The Emperor's New Groove. I need to rewatch that.
Yes, but a good example when I really got mad at the stupid fucking music was it's not even like a song, it's not a music song, it's like a musical cue, it's like a sound, like a jingle almost, like I'm watching a commercial. And it was whenever like the ghost like makes himself like known to her, and she's like, oh my gosh, who are you, a stranger? And he's like, get out of my house, and he like fucking like grabs her and like throws her over his shoulder and like places her outside, and it does like a give you like, oh, that's so cute, because he touched her and like grabbed her, and it was intimate and cute and funny, and they're gonna be together. And it's like, actually, like, he's a stranger and a ghost, she's never seen him before, and he like grabbed her like that. I'd be like really upset and freaked out, and I'd just leave. I wouldn't stand on the fucking porch all day and be cold. Where's her car?
Yeah, they don't understand like tone.
Yeah.
Let's see, maybe
just no music during that part would have been better.
I did appreciate that this movie, it was winter, because a lot of these Hallmark movies are usually filmed in July, so there's no snow on the ground. But golly, there was a lot of snow on the ground, which leads us to your realistic horror aspects.
There was a lot of fucking snow. So much snow that you couldn't see the road or anything. It was just snow, and I don't know how the fuck they got around without there being an issue with travel.
Did they ever bring that up? Because that could have been a good reason to justify why she decided to stay at the end instead of being a normal fucking person and leaving.
They bring up why one of the reasons why she stays at the inn is because she's a long way from home and she had to take like a plane or some shit. But she never once mentioned like, oh, the snow, it's unbelievable, and it's gonna be a problem driving in it, I should wait. No, it's just that she was far away from Boston, and I don't even know where the inn was at, so far enough that she needed a plane.
Another realistic aspect, being in love with an imaginary person because you're actually insane, which is actually a good story prompt.
Yeah, wouldn't I thought about that. I was like, that would be kind of cool if I read about that. But yeah, I mean, this guy's a ghost. To some people who don't believe in ghosts, he's simply not real and doesn't exist. Therefore, he's just part of her imagination because she has some problems and she's in love with this thing that she just created. So that's fucking weird. I mean, of course, we have to assume that everybody believes in ghosts because if they look like this and they're from the 1920s, why not? You know, but yeah.
Being able to touch a ghost when they have to be super strong to even appear in front of you, let alone physically manifest solidity.
Solidly. Yeah, like actually manifest where you can touch it and it has mass. I know that we're getting like pretty technical about this, but you have to be for ghosts to appear to you, they have to be able to use so much energy like that is naturally around them in certain areas and from people. And there's no fucking way this dude would be able to physically manifest like that all day and all night for 12 days, feeding off of the energy of just one girl. She'd be dead or like insane, or she wouldn't even be. It just wouldn't happen. Okay. Like she'd see like a figure, you know, things would move. She wouldn't be able to touch him and like communicate with him like humans do. It just wouldn't work that way. Shit.
I really want them to make a sequel where she gets pregnant and they have to like figure out how to fucking explain that one.
Listen, I don't know if you've seen, I mean, I know that you have seen American Horror Story, the first season, but we all know what happens when a human and a ghost have a child.
Your daughter kills herself and becomes a ghost.
No, it becomes the Antichrist.
Oh, sorry.
Sam. It becomes the Antichrist. Okay? It's the bringer of the end. So you shouldn't fucking do that because, I mean, I don't know if it has to be a special evil demon. He's not evil, but like, from what I understand, from what pop culture has showed me, if they were to have a ghost/human baby, it would be the bringer of the end. So, yeah, they shouldn't do it.
This was a good discussion. What other?
Thanks.
Having a concussion is horrifying. Falling in love with a ghost and killing yourself to be with them forever.
That was the first thought I had upon watching this. I was like, well, I mean, when she falls in love with the ghost, there's only one way she can actually really be with him, and we can't bring him back to life, so she's gonna have to die.
I write like,
and that's that.
A scary version of this. Would that fall under parody, or would they sue me?
I'd watch it and I'd call it a straight up horror movie, and it would not be a parody because we need more Christmas horror movies.
It would end with her just like straight up killing herself. Was the ghost really real?
It would have,
or was he imaginary?
That's what I'm saying. If you had her do that, it would have to encompass like all of this, all mixed together, and then it would be a real mindfuck.
Especially prohibition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wait, let's go back to the concussion thing. She didn't... Okay, so I don't even know what the fuck they show the part when she gets hit on the head with a vase. I know... Okay, so an unreliable narrator is not something that should be easily inserted like that into a movie like this. Like, no. Because, like, seriously, like, the plot already says that there's a ghost in the summary, so you can't make her get hit on the head with a vase and then suddenly it's all in her head, because like, don't even have that if you're not going to fall back on it later.
Yeah.
You even have to tell the cop that happened. She shouldn't have. So I don't know. Anyway, she had no symptoms of a concussion anyway, so she was fine. Yes, Prohibition. That was a very scary time because a lot of people did what this guy did and just like got fucking killed by other people doing it too. It was like such a time to be in a gang and do like, secret things where you were taking alcohol across, lines, state lines and things like that. So I don't know. I guess it's a scary business.
Yeah, very scary. But I think that about wraps it up.
Yes, it does. I just saw the time.
I want to go drink some hot chalky and watch the OC with David before he goes to bed.
I want to drink hot chalky too. I have to go start making a soup for Luca before he gets home.
Nice. All right,
so
let's read those.
His night's been late.
Let's read those end notes.
Yes, I've got them right here. All right. Yes. Let me prepare the outro notes. Okay. Real Horror Show was created by Sam Odie and Stormy Skies and is directed by Sam Odie. Tonight, we learned that you should not fall in love with a ghost. That's it. Cool. Like what you hear? You can find Real Horror Show on Spotify, TuneIn, Google Play Store, Stitcher, and iTunes. Really, really like what you hear? Follow us on Twitter at horrorshow__pod or search for Real Horror Show on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook at Real Horror Show. Like our page and share our stuff. We also have a website that all of our written reviews and podcasts can be found, realhorrorshow.com. Want to interact with us? Want to make sure we're real humans and not space vampires? Comment on our website or email us at realhorrorshowpodcast@gmail.com. Want to argue with us about something or think you have a really great horror movie review that you're dying to share with two random strangers from the internet? Submissions are open for movie reviews. Check out the submit page on our website and follow the rubric before sending us anything. If it's not done according to the rubric, it will be disregarded. Sorry, not sorry. We post written reviews. Sometimes I might write one, I might not, but when we do write one, they're a doozy. We love horror, and if you're listening, you do too. Please help us keep our project going by visiting our support page on our website where you can make a one-time donation via PayPal. We also have an Amazon wish list if you feel like buying us something tangible will help convey your love more than a monetary donation would. Also, Buy Us a Coffee is a button you can click that will pay us the amount you would need to buy a coffee. A little bit goes a long way. I don't know if you guys have seen Sam's gifts. She's been posting on the Real Horror Show Twitter lately, but they all involve drinking copious amounts of coffee. So she really needs it, you guys. I don't know what's going on over there, but yeah, the Starbucks holiday drinks are out. We love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Submissions are open for our yearly anthology called the October Monologues. Check out the submission guidelines on our website and send us your creepy shit. Any other pertinent news?
Not right now. Chances are this will be our last episode until the new year, so have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, guys. We'll see you on the other side of the decade. How do you feel about that? Think about that for a minute.
Okay with it. We've lived through 3 decades.
I know. One day closer to death. All right. Our outro song is called Creepy Doll by Jonathan Colton. Thank you. Excuse me. Fuck off and have a swell evening.
Bye.
Bye.